Today, we are attempting to sail our 47-foot catamaran 120 nautical miles from this island in the remote Pacific to this island with no GPS or modern technology. That's about 20 hours of sailing, 12 of which are in the dark, without any electronic navigation. We will learn how to use traditional navigational tools to plot our course and then use written cues to hopefully get us to our destination. This is a challenge that we have never tried before, and to make it all the more interesting, we are putting our crew of brand new sailors in charge of plotting out our course. Today's mission starts in the Arnarvon Islands, an extremely small and remote island cluster in the Solomon Islands. It's time. This is where the magic happens. So today we are going to learn how to navigate on paper charts. The first order of business was to teach everyone how to use traditional mapping tools and the techniques we would be using to navigate. Once everyone had a rough idea how to manually plot distances and calculate ETAs, I left them to their devices to create a route to our destination.
Okay, so we've spent hours going through the plan, and we think we have one now. I feel like my brain is about to fall out of my ears. I have no idea how this is gonna go.
What is more funny is when we go outside, everything will be different.
Yeah.
And we will see how much we can keep it the same as our route.
I feel slightly aggravated that I don't understand. But, I mean, it's nice. It's nice that it's over.
We are worried about if we cannot see the land during the night, we will cross the land. But because it's the full moon night, so it's so bright.
Are you excited? Salem is like, I'm gonna kill you. 1, 2, 3, river fight! Okay, let's go.
Okay, so now we need to go out there. But for now, I just don't know where we are going. It looks all the same to me. It's a disaster. Did I say funny, interesting before? I take it back. So I feel it's always the most challenge to being the first one to do something new. Yes! Turnovers! I don't like this, but I will try.
Our first mission was to get ourselves out of the reef of Arnarvon Island and into open water. 180 degrees, 23 degrees, 15:03. So the time has started. This is our starting point. I plotted in, we had some islands that we were going to use as reference. I plotted in the heading to all of them. Now we're going to go down in the map and have a look at exactly where we are to make sure we're going the right way.
We've taken the bearing of each of the landmarks that we wanted to use to triangulate where we were, and it just doesn't work. It says like completely somewhere that we know we're not because we can see the land. So yeah, step one, like we haven't even started yet basically, and it's not working.
Right. Let's go out, find some other things to measure against, because I mean, charts are off. We know that in general. In case you were wondering, the crew was allowed to use their phones strictly to access their compasses due to the fact that we didn't have an operating traditional compass. The sail had just begun and our plotting system had already failed. The crew was feeling a bit defeated, but all we could do was to go back to the drawing board and try to relocate ourselves relative to the landmarks around us.
Okay, so we went and took new bearings off of the things that we could see. And we have figured out that we are somewhere in between this triangle here, which is where our intended thing was, and we are in this triangle.
That's really good.
So we know where we are-ish, and in 1 minute, 40 seconds now, we should do our first turn. Now we are turning 175 degrees.
She's a good teacher.
For 12.6 nautical miles, which would be approximately 2 hours and 6 minutes. it's only 10 more degrees. Now we are at 172. We're really being pushed.
Yeah.
160.
But you know, our sails are not set, so maybe we should set our sails so we're not pushed so much into the wind. At this point, we had cleared the Arnarvon Reef and made our first turn to head south for 1 hour and 20 minutes before passing the notoriously rough West Passage. So, first half an hour of your shift, how's it been?
I was facing the wrong way for a little bit there, but in general, it's hard to follow the compass. And like now, we've got nothing really around to triangulate between, so I don't even know where we are. Quite stressful to say the least. So I can see the waves breaking over on the horizon, which is approximately 3 nautical miles away. So I'm assuming that's where the passage is, where we're going to be going through.
So according to our plan, after 1 hour and 20 minutes, we should start looking for the West Passage. That's when we expect that we can start seeing it. And we have been going for about
1 hour and 15 minutes since we turned. So we're 5 minutes out of our predictions, which is...
That's like really cool. When we first started this mission, things felt impossible. But hitting this estimation almost perfectly was a breakthrough moment for us. Suddenly, it felt like we might actually be able to complete this mission successfully. The next part of the journey, though, was going to be considerably more complicated, as we were about to pass through a large barrier reef with dangerously shallow areas.
Okay, so we are at the passage, but we can't find the pass that we intended to go through. We've got nothing to figure out where we are. So Salem's at the front, trying to see if she can see anything. The waves are waving. It's just a mess.
So we couldn't find any entrance through the passage, so we're just gonna go through it and hope for the best. Now that we had made it through the barrier reef, it was time to try and estimate our location and prepare to turn west. Alright, so let's get back onto our course.
Yeah, we're very close.
Okay, perfect. So I just did some estimates. We're pretty much on where we plan to be. Just 1 to 3, maybe 3 nautical miles further east.
Time to turn!
The second leg of the trip was the Westward Traverse. Not a complicated sail when you know where you are, but during the night with no GPS, a current pushing us out of course, and islands you don't want to crash into, but no way of knowing where are, things get a little bit more complicated.
So it's actually able to see the outline of this island. So check the hikers off the map, and I figured out what that was, and I did a bearing on my compass to figure out where we were compared, and we're actually even further ahead than expected. So this is where we estimated that we would be at this point, but then I saw this mountain range here at 180 degrees, which means that we're actually somewhere along this line, and if we're able to keep our heading, we would be here. So basically around 35 nautical miles away from where we're going to turn. We're going to slow down so we're not too close to this island before the sun rises, because we're going to pass pretty close, and we want to make sure we don't hit it.
So now is the night shift at around 30 in the night. We got a full moon night. The moon is super bright and you can see everywhere.
As we approached the end of our Westward Traverse, it was time to triangulate our position and prepare for the final turn of the trip.
Okay, so according to my calculations, we need to turn 194 degrees. So at 7:07, we should turn 194 degrees. Whereas our thing was 190 anyway. This is so good when it works.
Alright, turn to 194. With just a few hours left in the journey, we made our final turn to head south and navigate to shallow areas and reefs around Ghizo to our final location. This can even be tricky with a GPS, but without it, the smallest mistake can mean the end of this entire journey. So we are getting closer to land at the moment, and I start to see that there's movement in the water, which means that there are changes. So I'm getting a little bit nervous that we do not know where we are.
We need to go 180 degrees for 11 nautical miles.
Alright, how long is that going to take us?
Tomorrow,
God.
we're going 6, just under 2 hours.
Yes.
What she said.
So if you look, because we're going exactly 180 now, so it should be in between that rock and that other rock. Yeah, there seems to be a perfect gap there.
Yeah.
That's
In
what I
between those
think.
two little...
Yeah.
So yesterday, or no, the day before yesterday when we started doing all the map stuff, I was very frustrated because I did not understand it. And to be honest, I still don't really 100% understand all the map stuff. But I will say that even though I don't fully understand it all yet, it's fun to understand little bits and pieces. And this is your sign to just do something that even if you're scared of it and you don't know how to do it and you feel like you're bad at it, just give it a shot.
So we are getting close, so we're trying to do measurements a bit more often because it's gonna get shallow, so we just need to figure out where we are. So now Tammy is up and she is measuring. So Ghizo is the main island. We're actually going to this small one over here, and we need to find the entrance, so we need to figure out where we are because things are not very well marked here. So we try to use things we measure that are more than 30 degrees away from each other to get the best possible measurements.
So now we found the point. We are here and the time now is 50 and the distance from here we are 4.5 nautical miles, which means it's supposed to be 45 minutes if our speed is 6 knots.
So for the very last leg of this sail, we don't have a map that is detailed enough. So what we did before we left was to zoom in on the iPad and screenshot it. So we have the picture, but we're still not allowed to use the navigation system, so we can't see where we are. So just because we are out sailing and not using GPS doesn't mean that things stop breaking on the boat. So we have a bridle in front of the boat at the anchor chain, and it's shaping off, so I need to fix that before we anchor up in about 2 hours. So let's do that. I'm just gonna make a alpine butterfly knot to kind of isolate the danger, and then I will tie it on again with a bowline. So we just kind of remove this part from it without having to fix the entire bridle and move all of it. Okay, this one's isolated. Let's get this back on. Alright, so we're getting closer. So we start looking for marks in the water to figure out where we're going to enter.
That!
Yes.
That!
This is our screenshot of the map coming in. And we're trying to figure out which mark we're seeing out in the ocean. It actually might be this one, which is the one we're going to use for turning. So can you tell me anything about that mark? Colors?
So we have white on the top, black on the bottom.
So what we see in the water and what's on the chart, it just does not add up. It's not the same things. So we're struggling a little bit to figure out where we are. And it's a lot of shallows here, and it's a lot of things we can hit. So we just need to figure that out ASAP. All right, so when we get closer here, maybe we should just drop our sail right now.
We have 18 knots.
Okay, let's drop the sail.
Drop the man!
You see shallow patches everywhere. So we're gonna turn, so you see the shallow parts by the thing,
there, yeah.
and we're gonna turn down like this. So what we're gonna do is that you're gonna bring us close to the mooring pole, and we're gonna get it as close to the front of the boat as possible. So then we can pick it up with a boat hook and get the mooring line in.
So we see some mooring balls in the water that we're gonna anchor up to. And so the girls are getting the mooring lines out, and then we're gonna go to this one that's at my 90 degrees.
You're doing great. This is good.
Perfect. Get a bit closer that way. Can someone jump in the water? Is the stick gone? He's right ahead there. So a little bit more that way. Yeah.
Good morning. We are reporting live from our final destination. We have made it.